When you come from small communities, there are few role models, and it was important to me to become one of the role models. We were integral to the entire pandemic experience. The internist was in the center of that, and you see your value and you see your worth and you see your contribution in times like those. It took me almost a year and a half to decide if I wanted to go the England route or if I wanted to come to the US. I would go as far as saying that I did not rank one of my programs because I was like, I prefer to try again than to go there. Yes, you need to pass the exam, do the best that you could, but I promise you, somebody will outrank you if they're coming in with more than just a score.
Hello, you're listening to the IMG Residency Match podcast, where ambitious international medical graduates like yourself get the insider strategies and inspiration you need to match into residency. I'm your host, Shauna K. Lester, the founder of Memorable Essay and the creator of the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator, a program that helps you create a memorable residency application to match. So if you're looking for proven strategies to match, and the inspiration to create a medical career you absolutely love, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Dr. Vernicia Hernandez is not one to sleep on. She hails from Mayaro in Trinidad and Tobago and studied biology, chemistry, and medicine at the University of the West Indies. Vernicia worked in Grenada while preparing for the match. She has a passion for promoting cultural diversity, for advancing medical education, and for conducting research, and she is currently building a career in a rapidly developing and multidisciplinary subspecialty, that's sleep medicine. In this episode, we talk about how everything changed for Vernicia, and everything will in fact change for you as an IMG when you start valuing what you bring to the match table. So welcome to the IMG Residency Match podcast. Dr. Vernicia Hernandez, how are you doing today?
I'm good, can't complain.
Who is Vernicia?
I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, grew up in a very, very small community. I did medical school in Jamaica, and after medical school, I worked a little bit in St. George's University while I studied for STEPS. And in 2022, I matched at the University of Miami, Jackson Memorial Hospital, and I've been here for the last 2.5 years.
That's a nice professional summary. And when you're not doing medicine, what do you like to do?
I really love the water. I still do the boating. I go out in the sea. I do like adult things now, like, keep little house parties and invite my friends, trying to grow up a little bit. I watch too much TV, sleep a little bit too much, travel a lot. I'm on a plane as often as work will allow me to get home to family and get to see the rest of the world kind of things. Yeah, those are the things I do outside of work.
And so we mentioned Trinidad. Where in Trinidad are you from, and how did that lead you toward medicine?
The area is called Mayaro. It's tiny. Most people there are fish, Very few doctors came out of the area overall. I think in high school, I was very interested in biology. I did well for the most part in high school, except for physics and math, but mostly I did well. And I think that for me, when you come from small communities, there are few role models, and it was important to me to become one of the role models and to find a way to positively contribute and give back to the community. And medicine helped me do so in ways that even now, help me to motivate, give back, through medicine, outside of medicine, help my family, outside of my family. And I think the combination of the sciences together with that need and want to give back and to help was what brought me to medicine in the first place.
What were some of those needs that you saw in the community that made you feel like you wanted to respond to them?
I think it's for me, it's always been my academic career hasn't always been the walk in the park. I know a lot of people will look at me and be like, wow, everything goes away, but it hasn't always been like that. And a lot of people within my community took the time off to come to my help when I needed them, whether it was financially, whether it was word of advice, whether it was helping me stay involved in the community, in medicine. And it's always important to find ways to give back. So I think that need came from the fact that when I was in need, there were people there for me, and I felt obligated to be there for others when they are in need. So that's kind of my driving force behind the whole in need driver that I have.
And so you get to medical school, you decide to go to Jamaica. What eventually leads you toward internal medicine in particular?
I think internal medicine, it's a very all-encompassing career direction. It takes care of all conditions, every condition that there is. Trust me, you need an internist on board to help you collaborate and to manage those illnesses. And it's broad. So I get to do a little bit of everything, and not just one thing alone. I get to develop a relationship with my patients over time because I see them in clinic over and over again. And I get to provide, education and guidance and advocate for their needs and their wants and help them, move from that stage of being ill and not well into something better and stronger and helping them accomplish their own healthcare goals. And there's no medicine specialty that does that more totally or holistically than an internist. So hence
Mhm.
I transitioned and I felt like that was the career path for me.
And as you're coming up through the ranks, was there a patient experience that really stuck with you that you felt like this is a turning point? It makes me know that this is where I need to go.
Yeah, so there are always patient experiences, and it happens, at all points of your career. I think my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer in internship, and I had a patient that had breast cancer and mets to the spine, and she was in pain. And we as internists, because yes, the oncologists and hematologists are there, but they care for the cancer, not the acute complications of the disease. And we were able to intervene with treatment and relieve that pain and made what was left of our life like so much better. We were
Mhm.
able to help like all of these specialties come together and work together. There needs to be like a middleman in the center coordinating all of the care. Otherwise things don't get done, things get missed, because these specialists only think about their specialty and what they're bringing to the table and not the whole picture. So we being in the center and being intimate part of every aspect of her care, whether it's her social needs, her spiritual needs, her medical needs, her oncology needs, I feel like that to me was one of the opening points that made me figure out, okay, I'm going to be an internist. And I mean, just to add on to that, the pandemic hit, and trust me, we were in need. We were integral to the entire process, to the entire pandemic experience. The internist was in the center of that. And you see your value and you see your worth and you see your contribution in times like those. And hence I went across and I decided that internal medicine was for me.
So, when it comes to the match, when do you first remember thinking about that, and what were some of the first steps that you took towards that goal?
When I came to the match, there's always challenges. I remember having a conversation with one of my fellow interns. I knew nothing about steps during medical school, unfortunately. And I had the discussion during internship, and it took me almost a year and a half plus to decide if I wanted to go the England route or if I wanted to come to the US. And I like that in the US, it's in and out. You match, you do your 3 years, you graduate, you find a job, while the English have a lot of like bottlenecks and all of that. So I decided based on pros and cons that I was going to go the US route maybe 6, 7 months after internship. What that meant for me is that I needed to find an environment that would support these goals, and SGU did that for me. I was able to work reasonable working hours. I was able to expand my expertise into teaching and grew as a person that can teach and educate fellow medical students. The things I was teaching were the same things I were learning to do exams. So when I'm working and when I'm studying, I'm working towards my goals. And SGU really was that space that allowed me to be able to successfully study for those exams and get those exams out of the way. The only thing I'll add to that is that I know that in the Caribbean, we think, exam is all. It really isn't. Most of these university-based programs, they're looking for people that are innovative, people that are leaders, people that are teachers, people that are going to make a difference. So I would say, yes, you need to pass the exam, do the best that you could, but I promise you, somebody will outrank you if they're coming in with more than just a score. That's just the reality of it. So just keep that in mind when you decide that this is the route for you.
And for those who are not familiar, what is SGU?
That's St. George's University. It's off-base American university. And what you do there is that you teach medical students and get them ready for clerkships that they will do in the US and Canada or in England. And it's located in Grenada.
So you feel like being on staff as a clinical tutor kind of gave you that flexibility that you were able to then also focus on your own preparation for the match.
Yeah. I would add too that everything is about how you, I don't want to use the word sell it, but what you add value to what you bring, so SGU could be, I've spent 2 years not in clinical practice, or SGU could be, I spent 2 years in a recognized medical school within the US, developing teaching skills, working with medical students, having these outcomes. So I think it's most important how you sell whatever it is you're bringing to the table and how much value, how you put value to it. And for me, SGU did that for me.
And so it comes time now to apply to these different programs. What is the criteria in your mind? What's most important for where it's going to be your eventual home?
As an IMG, you feel a lot of pressure. You feel like you're up against the world. Fellowship is a different ball game. I will admit for residency, initially you're going there with the approach with anybody who takes me, I'm going to go. And
anybody? Hold on.
That is how you
anybody
go in.
At all?
Anybody at all. When you
even if they made
apply.
The news for residents harming themselves?
No.
Anybody at all?
When you now start down the street, I feel like every international medical graduate somewhere in their mind just feel like I just need to match. But I would say that when I started getting interviews and I started adding value onto myself, I started to become more aware of what I was looking for in a program. And that is where the switch happened. I would go as far as saying that I did not rank one of my programs because I was like, I prefer to try again than to go there. And I feel like that's a big switch for a lot of IMGs to make, realizing their potential and realizing what they bring to the table and realizing that you have control somewhat and a choice as to where you end up. But I have been on both sides of the river where I'm like, listen, anywhere, take me, I'm going. And then I'm like, I don't know about this program so much. So I've been on both sides and I totally understand. So, yeah.
And so for the programs that eventually made your cut, the ones that you even bothered to rank, what was the criteria that you were applying there?
So there are many different things that you take into consideration. And I would say that programs like to hear that you've taken these things into consideration, because I think a lot of IMGs go in again with anywhere I get, I'm good. But if a program could clearly see why you would prefer to be there, it's a different ball game. So I ranked University of Miami first for several reasons. One, it's because it's close to Trinidad and Tobago and it's an easy flight home. Support is so important in residency that people take for granted, but it's important, Second, the weather. It's hot. It's similar to what I'm used to in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not going to have a problem with winter, right? And these things are important. I know it's important to me now because I'm in residency, but I know coming in as somebody that's trying to match, these things not even crossing your mind, right? But the residency appreciates you having these thought processes and bringing these facts to them. Another thing is the fellowship match rates. Like initially when I started residency, I wanted to be a cardiologist and I wanted to be in a program that would help me get to cardiology. And it was important for me to be in a program that had in-house cardiology fellowships because that is an excellent safety net and having excellent match outcomes so that I can use their resources to get to where I wanted to go. And I think that the third thing that was important to me and continues to be important to me is a fellowship or residency that offers you the quality of life that you're looking for. UM definitely does that they're high on wellness. It's important to them. What's important to you is also important to them. And for me, that was important. And hence, UM was first in my ranking.
So being able to transition smoothly and have access to fellowship programs
Mm-hmm. Yep.
in the future and having some sort of balance. Is that balance really and truly possible though? Especially in your intern year? Is it just on paper or do you feel like you were able to achieve that?
It's 100% possible. In fact, I mean, I don't want this entire interview to be about UM because I'm pretty sure there are other excellent programs. But just to add to that, our program is flipped on its back in that the first year is an easier year. So it gets harder as you get more comfortable in residency. The interns are very much protected, and we try to make sure that, we know that they're dealing with a lot of things, who's moving, who has visa, all of that. So your intern year, it's not that it's the easiest year of your entire life, but it's not a year designed to stress you and to frustrate you. You're still going to feel stressed and frustrated because there's so many things to learn, but it's not like the program puts all the weight onto your back. As you progress through the program, it gets harder. But even in that sense, you get to design the experience that you want. For example, I'm going to do sleep medicine. And for my second year and in my third year, I get to choose elective that design that lifestyle or that specialty that I want, which reflected how happy I was, how comfortable I was, how well I felt in the program.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh,
For
thank you.
sleep medicine.
Yes.
A quick pause to thank our sponsor, the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator. The IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator helps international medical graduates like you create a memorable application to match. Learn more at bit.ly/IMG match. Now back to the conversation. I talk a lot about feelings, managing emotions, managing thoughts. Go back if you can, by the way, if this is not a long lost memory. The months leading up to match day, match week, and then match day itself. How are you feeling along the way and how did you manage those emotions?
I think that positivity is important. I'm not the most positive person. I tend to be more tailored or controlled with my emotions in terms of that, but don't limit yourself. And I think I did limit myself even when I was applying for residency because it's like, oh, Harvard, I can't do that. Yale, I'm coming from the Caribbean, I can't get that. But I would say don't do it. I did not have ECFMG certification when I started applying for programs and I matched. My scores are okay, but I know people that don't have the greatest scores and match. I know people that do step one and step two and match. I know people who do step one, step two, and step three and match. So there's no right or wrong approach to the entire situation. I think the most important thing is to understand where your application is deficient, be open and honest with those deficiencies and tailor your application approach to suit that. So for example, when I was applying for March, I knew that I wasn't ECFMG certified, so I did not apply to programs that required ECFMG certification at application because I'll get filtered out immediately. So you have to be strategic as well as into how you're choosing things. It helps to do a rotation at the program. You want to go to the program, go there, do a rotation, meet the residents, meet the attendings, get those letters of recommendations. Those things are going to help bring things in your direction. Understand what the programs want. There are some programs that look heavily at scores because what is important to them is having a high board pass rate at the end of the 3 years. If that is your kind of speed, then find those programs. There are some programs that look for everything. Score is important, but they have this whole other list of things that they want from their candidates. If you have that, if you're bringing that to the table, then go forth and apply. There's no right and wrong answers. Stay positive, be strategic in your application. Do not let anybody tell you you cannot. Do not let anybody tell you you're missing X. Do not let anybody tell you anything. Just obviously you have to be open and listen to advice. I'm not saying no, but you would be surprised to know that we go ahead, like there are people that match without even step two. I wouldn't recommend that, but I'm just saying you're running your own race, get the things that you need to succeed at that race, and realize that every applicant is coming with some type of deficiency, and find the people and find the programs that understanding to that deficiency and can wait for that to be resolved if you have an issue. And I feel like that helps control the emotions a lot in the process.
And do you remember match day? Where were you when you found out? What was that like?
I was in Grenada. It was a good day. I was very happy. I matched to my first choice. I was with all my friends. The program called me on the phone directly and congratulated me. It was so nice because the person that called me was also from Trinidad, because there are a lot of IMGs here, Caribbean IMGs. So they made the effort to make that connect. And it was nice hearing it coming from somebody that has been through where I'm about to go through,
Yeah.
somebody I can connect with and ask questions to. And he made that call that day. And I spent the time with my friends, my program, well, the St. George's University, and those that were my bosses, they were happy. It was a good day. It's worth it. It was a good day. Yeah.
That actually sounds so thoughtful that they went ahead and found someone who was also from Trinidad. That's very thoughtful.
Yes, yes. It's the little things.
And looking back, what do you think are some of the moments in residency that have definitively made you into a better physician than you were 3 years ago?
Definitively made me a better resident. I feel like
Just a better physician
a
overall.
better
So I know
physician.
you're getting clinical knowledge and you're getting clinical skills, but are there any aspects of residency that you think really forced you to become a better doctor?
I think as an intern, you spend a lot of time doing the groundwork. And as an intern, there aren't many opportunities to realize what you're capable of. And I think the first time I knew that for sure that I was a mile and a half away from where I started as a clinician was as a senior resident in my PGY 2 year, where I was in charge of the entire team and I had 16 to 20 patients to manage. And it was perfectly fine. Like there were disasters and fires all over, and I wasn't phased. I stayed calm. I did the management. I gave the instructions. And I think that for internship year, you're so covered by, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? And about the move and the visa and everything, that you don't take a second to realize your growth. And for me, the first time that I realized my growth was as a senior in my PGY 2 year. I think the second time I realized again how much I've grown, residency, it really helps. It makes you a totally different physician from when you started. Like you
Just a
don't
bit,
even know that
just a bit,
person.
Vernicia. I think residency helps just a bit.
Just a bit, just a bit. I mean, a lot of people be like, so why residency? Like, it's different from when you graduate from MBBS. It's a totally different feeling. It's a totally different level of confidence. You know what you're doing. You know how to do it. You know what you're supposed to do. And when I moved into year 3, the program has this rotation. It's hospitalist and pretending, where you take on the position of a hospitalist without a team or an attending on the team. And I was carrying like with 10 patients by myself, and I was done by 2 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm ready to go home now.
Wow.
And it's like coming from having 3 to 4 patients as an intern and leaving at 7, 8 to having 10 to 15 and being like, listen, I'm done. I'm going home. Everybody's tucked in. It's a big journey. It's a big journey.
I think you already gave wonderful pieces of advice to our
Mhm.
IMGs. But as we're looking towards, what does residency set you up for? What about the future? Why sleep medicine? And if someone is considering it, why should they join you?
I think the story with sleep medicine is similar to internship. My personality screams happiness. I'm a happy person. And
Effervescence.
right? And like sleep is such a happy specialty. It's like these people that want they want to be happier in their lives. They want better sleep. They want to improve their quality of life. They want to enjoy their lives more. And I mean, I love helping my diabetes, hypertension, stroke, and my patients survive that. But it's a different feeling to take it a step further and say, hey, you survived the MI. How can we ensure that the life that you're living now is what you want, that you're happy in it. And I think the first place you start with that is with good sleep, and it just allows me to be myself. It allows me to have fun. I'm very innovative. So I do a lot of things, diversity, research, healthcare, and I need space and time to fully have the space and time to do all of these things that I'm passionate about. And sleep medicine allows that, and encourages that. And it's such a small field that there's so much work to be done. And everything that you do as a sleep medicine physician, you're part of the foundation of the specialty. You're building that specialty from the ground up, and you're shaping what it's going to look like in the next 10 to 15 years. And there is so much room to shine, so much room to be great, so much room to be on top of things, And for me, that's very attractive.
Wonderful. And what do you want the shine to be within sleep medicine? Is there a particular contribution you see yourself making?
I mean, there are several different ways, but the Caribbean is definitely on my mind. I don't think that there is a lot of awareness about sleep medicine and what exactly a sleep doctor is and what their roles are and who needs a sleep doctor. I feel like there is a lot of work to be done there in awareness. And there's some work to be done in health policies, like developing policies around sleep that protects the population as a whole. So I do have some interest in working towards bringing that to light. So those are like my two big areas outside of research that I definitely would be working on in the next couple of years.
And do I have the liberty of asking, just because I'm so interested, what would be a policy for sleep that the public would need to have? I've never heard about that.
The last policy that I was involved in was titled Later School Times for Middle and High School Children. So in the US, high school, like middle schools open like 7 a.m., but we're dealing with teenagers that don't go to sleep until midnight. So now they're coming to school sleep deprived, and they're unable to function efficiently and effectively and compete globally, because they're sleep deprived at school. So now there's a push in Florida to push those school times back to 8:30 so that our teenagers could get that extra hour, 2 hours sleep and improve their functionality at work. That is like one of the initiatives that is in legislation right now that people are working on to get more national recognition and a move towards that. So that would be an example of a healthcare policy that we're working here on in the US.
Thank you so much for talking with me, Vernicia. It's so cool to hear everything that you're doing, not just clinically, but with research and, as you're saying, potentially even in policy in the future. And I think that's wonderful.
It was a pleasure.
Hey friend, thank you for listening to the IMG Residency Match podcast. If you're ready to create a memorable application that gives you the best possible odds of matching into residency, connect with me at bit.ly/IMG match. That's all lowercase. And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Memorable Essay, or handle is Memorable Essay. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, leave a review, and share it with another IMG who's on their match journey. Your support helps more ambitious IMGs to find our show. Until next time, keep focused and be memorable.